Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you all this evening?
Great. That's great. My hair looks like a cockatoo bird.
Oh God.
Oh, at least that is a happy bird. Hmm.
Yes, it is. How was your week?
God, what was the week? The week was very interesting. The week provided some insights, particularly towards the end of the week, Friday. I
Mhm.
got an answer to a question that was always playing in my mind, the difference between A and B. And I got some clarity there. So it was a very nice week. And then Saturday, I went to my garden and had a wonderful time in the hot sun.
Hmm.
Got myself a little tan there. So that was very good as well.
Okay.
My week was good.
Anyone else? How has your week been thus? Well, the week that has just gone. How was your week? So everybody had a good week, I guess.
It was so good, the speechless.
Um, I really, really hope so. My week was, I guess, quiet. Today again, I went back outside trying to tackle the vines. Well, most of them have now died. So even if I try to pull them, the remaining that are on the tree, if I try to pull them off, they keep snapping. So they, the most of it is done, which I am very grateful for because, and you could see the lemon tree, the leaves starting to peek through. Like, thank you so much, because the vines were covering, and it's really just to show you that just as in life, when it have certain areas of your life that you're not paying attention to, that is what happens. And then sometimes even at looking at the certain areas, they're asking when it comes overbearing now, so you have to pay attention to it. And you're asking yourself, how did this get like this? Because your awareness wasn't there. So when your awareness not there, remember you're leaving room for a lot of unwanted things to grow. And the more, once your awareness not in this space, the things that are growing, they are getting stronger and stronger. And sometimes they take weeks, months, years to that point, to get to that point. So it would take you even more time to deal with it, to work on it, to get rid of it. But I am grateful that at least they are drying up and I am not seeing any new ones because, again, once they are left unattended, they grow and strengthen and they kill all the adjacent trees as well. So that is something that you really need to pay attention to. And I just wanted to read a post for you all. Let me bring it up. Um, that was sent out today. And it is something that sometimes when we are experiencing it, we think that something is wrong. So let me just share my screen so that you could see the post. So this is the post today. Transformation. A butterfly's transformation is one of nature's most powerful reminders that growth often requires a period of stillness before expansion. Before it ever becomes something admired, it enters chrysalis, a quiet, enclosed space where everything it once was begins to dissolve. Stillness is not always the absence of progress. Sometimes it is preparation. So, how many of us have experienced that type of stillness and then you thought something is wrong, nothing is happening, you know, not recognizing that? Are you being prepared in this moment? And even while within it, what are you doing with the time, the preparation time? Are you spending it worrying and frustrating yourself about whatever happened in the past, or are you spending the time focused on what you want?
You know, the question with that is for me, when you're going through what you're going through, it's so hard to focus on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's just like you're just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something for me that I really have to work on because, like, when you're going through stuff, you're just going through stuff, and once again, your mind and replay, and how you get to that point of, kind of envisioning and speaking into what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like one of the challenges that I have with, I mean, when you're saying it, it seems like, it's very easy, it's practical, it's whatever you could relate to it. But when it comes to actually putting it into practice, I feel it's a lot more challenging.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I think for me is I've been through that a few times. And even up to today, I think it was this morning or yesterday morning. I was thinking about myself and what I want to accomplish, what I wanted to accomplish, what I thought I would accomplish in life. And you look around and you're looking around is where troubles always start. But you look around and you're seeing others accomplishing or doing what you like doing. Let me put it that way. And I had to actually talk to myself this morning about that it was necessary to focus on new and not try to sit where you're accustomed to sit because that phase may not necessarily be gone or over, but new is here. And so I had to really, because when you in the new phase, it's almost like you're you're learning, you getting acquainted. Yes, you might be using some skills that you have, but not in the way that you are accustomed using them. And so there is that little niggling little voice sometimes that would suggest to me that either you're losing out on something or you're not, you're no longer as successful as is the little inner voice that needs to be controlled. Someone said to me once, you really have to discipline your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And so is is a point where you have to really think that there's something new. If you stay only doing the same thing all the time, then there's nothing new, there's no growth. And eventually there's no even joy in doing it because you know how people say, I could do this with my eye closed. The
Mm-hmm.
minute you start to get to the point of saying, I could do this with my eye closed, you have set it on automatic. And you're not really focused on what you're doing. So with your eyes closed, you might hit your foot on something. And then you realize your eyes should have been open because not every day is the same. So yes, for me, there is sometimes you feel as though you're standing still and you're not making any progress. So that is when I have to talk to myself about new, that the progress that is to be has never been before. So some patience is required, some grace with myself is required, and to be happy for those who are getting through with their projects that they have, because this is their season and it is time for their projects. And to know that you are in not a holding stage, but a growing stage, although I cannot see all the growth that is taking place because you don't know what new is. You just have to trust what new is. And not necessarily go with the flow, but you just have to trust what new is. So this morning I had a long conversation with myself to be able to get out of a space that I was going into and to work through. So after a little few half an hour meditation, some I got up and they say change the thought, change the thing, do something physical, do something. So I was able to do that and then get to work. Because today's Monday, today's a working day. So it was a question of get to work and focus on the things that are part of the new
Mhm.
and not comparison really is the thief of joy. It's a first for true. So this was I understand the when you feel as though you're stuck, but you're not really stuck. And it happened to me before. And you'd get little messages, rest yourself, rest, lie down, relax yourself. Lahe even. And I'll be there saying, but everybody else doing something and I'm not doing anything. But I tell you, I live to wish that I had some of those periods of rest right now. the new has come with a lot of not much downtime, not much spare time, and so not much lahi in time. That's so that's just I sometimes feel that way and then I have to talk myself out of it. Yeah.
Okay. I know some of us logged on a little late, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening session. And tonight's topic, which is the presence of mindfulness, because mindfulness isn't just a practice, it is a presence. But when you hear the word mindfulness, what usually comes to mind for you? What do you understand by the word?
You are paying attention. You are paying attention. Your mind is on one particular thing and you're paying attention to that. Your mind is not running away on other thoughts. So your mind is full of something.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I feel like, when you say mindfulness is a matter of you checking your mind. Because your mind, you just let it, and I can speak for myself. It's like you just let your mind run rampant. You let your mind do its own thing. So when you talk about being mindful, is kind of putting a check on checking your mind, holding your mind accountable for its actions and saying, no, not this time, not today, and just really being aware of how many distractions there are and how distracted you are from
Mhm.
the now, from the reality, from, being present. Because I know for myself, your mind would go off and then you're having conversations with yourself and, all that type of stuff. And you're thinking, okay, well, It's okay, you're just having conversations with yourself, but it's just time going and you're mind in this cycle of repetition. And it's just like, no, I need to check myself. So when you're being mindful, it's really holding yourself and your mind accountable and being present.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Because when Befitment did the post about how long your emotions last for, and then after learning that, after that period, which is 60 to 90 seconds, that's it. The adrenaline passes through your body, that is it. The emotion is gone. But what we tend to do is hold on to the feelings based on the emotion, and then we are ruminating on that. So you're thinking on it all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. And then you start to create stories, you start to create scenarios in your mind. And just sit and ask yourself right now, how many of those you go through on a daily basis? Think about it. How many times you do this on a day-to-day basis, and then nothing comes of it, eh? Nothing comes of it. You sit down, you create all the stories, all the scenarios, and then nothing comes of it. And then you're keeping this ruminating thought in a loop in your mind over and over and over and over again. How many times for the day do you think that you do this every day?
More times than is healthy. More times than is healthy.
And are you even aware enough to recognize it and stop in the moment while doing it?
I think now I am more aware and try to stop myself. But then here's the thing that tends to happen. Like at this point now, where like I'm tired of going through this. I just want to be in that space where I'm doing better.
Mm-hmm,
It's like, come on, like you just say another year come and you're still doing the same things. I think for me, it's just like you want to be in this space where you're doing what you got to do in the way that you're supposed to do it. But I think that goes hand in hand with giving yourself grace,
mm-hmm,
but it's like now that you're aware, it's like I don't feel like I put as much pressure on myself, but it's just like it doesn't make sense, and you're kind of like, why we even have to be going through this? What we were born with this knowledge, information, we born sidetracked, and now it's like, you know, why? So I feel like for me, it's just like I am tired of living this way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I'm ready for this change, but I guess it doesn't happen overnight. And it's just about putting the work in. But it's just like, I want to get it already.
mm-hmm. And what do you think is the best way to get it?
Consensus, consistency, and practice.
All right. So when presented with those same thoughts, those same ruminating thoughts, or whatever scenarios that you created and you keep replaying, when you experience that on a day-to-day basis, what do you do? Do you stay in that space, or do you stop yourself in the moment?
And I think, the fact that I am now more aware of it, I stop myself. But I think sometimes so you have like good support factor. Like when you talk to like-minded people and like I'm having conversations with certain people, they'll be like, Lisa, stop. You know what I mean? So that in itself, and I am very grateful for that, to be held accountable, to be like, no, look, listen, you're doing the same thing. Stop. And that helps.
Mm-hmm,
So sometimes having like-minded people, and being open to, if that to me, like if I have a friend, I would want my friend to tell me the truth, not to tell me what they think I want to hear. And then I have to be open enough to receive it and not get offended or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like for me, yes, I recognize it, but sometimes old habit, you know, takes time to break. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for like being held accountable and be like, you know, having people to say like, no, you need to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Anastasia, I was just about to call you, so I'm very glad to see your hand raised.
Okay, good day.
Good evening.
I would like to raise a live scenario and I want you all to tell me how you could stop your mind from running away in
Okay.
this scenario.
Okay.
So somebody has money for you. They
Yeah.
promise that they are going to pay you a certain day. When the day comes, you're not hearing anything from the person. You pick up the phone, you're calling the person, they ignoring your call.
Mm-hmm.
You send a message, they read the message, they did not answer your message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You give them a little time, you call again. No, they're not taking your call.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me how you going and stop your mind from being a runaway train
Mm-hmm.
when things like these arise. Help me, please.
Could I
Yes.
could
Somebody.
I could I ask you a question? I think
Mhm.
sometimes, okay, yes, you lend somebody money, right? But is it like you can't pay your bills, you can't eat food, you can't buy your stuff because this person owe you money? So sometimes you have to chalk things up as a lesson learned. Yes, you want your money. Yes, say nothing, but then you just surrender it and you take it to prayer, you take it to the universe. But if it's not, because once again, it's like not, this is some a quote and something I learned and I am dealing with myself. Like, you can't expect you from someone else. So when it comes to the discipline you have, the principles you have, the morals you have, like it's common courtesy. You could just pick up the phone and say, Anastasia, girl, I owe you this money, but right now, X, Y, and Z, I don't have it. That might be the way you think, but that might not be the way they think. It could be like they're embarrassed, whatever the case may be. So sometimes it's like, instead of harboring it, you just release it. But if it's a large sum of money and they're not giving it back to you, like what you gonna do? You know, you still have to release it. Like I would tell you a personal story. Before I knew better, I co-signed for a car for somebody. I get credit cards and did stuff for people and never got the money back. And I end up having to file bankruptcy. So what am I going to do? Right? I had to live, I had to move on, I had to do whatever, but it's like lesson learned, you know? You know who this person is, so you see them for who they are, you deal with them to suit, in terms of people that, that come into your life after this, you'll be more cautious in terms of what you're going to do. But if the person is totally ignoring you and you just kind of surrender it. And sometimes when you surrender it and you put it in God's hands out of the blue, they call it Anastasia girl, da 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 da. Da. Because even for me, like I help people out. And there was a time where I needed somebody to help me out. And I know what it's like to co-sign for something for somebody. And I needed somebody to co-sign something for me. And they did. But sometimes it's like, yeah, you might fall short here, but you don't know where it's going to lead, how it's going to impact your life. So you can't just sit here and be like, you know, it's hurtful, it's disrespectful, to you, but unless you say, well, okay, I'm going to get the police involved or this involved or that involved, sometimes we have to release it.
Anastasia.
Yes, I am here.
Yes. Now, I have experienced these things before. And what I tend to do is I will not, any moment, yes, you would, after a few times, the person stop responding or whatever it is, right? But you might stop talking to the person, but then start to talk to everything. And then talking to everything, just as Lisa said, once you know what your intention is, you know your intention is, I won back I am just saying $2, right? And all you are doing in the moment is holding that intention. You are not frustrated by it. You are not bothered by it. You simply know what you want. Do you know what you want?
Yes, I know what I want.
Good. Do not put anything else on top of what you want. Do not put the frustration, do not put any confusion, do not put anything else on top of what you want. And every day that you get up, know that you want this, and everything knows that you want this. Just as how everything knew the same laptop I am talking to you all on knew that I wanted this laptop and it made its way here. Get up in the morning, know what you want, and that is all that is required. And let us know. You might be very shocked and surprised, just as Lisa said, as soon as you know what you want and you release it, it would find its way. Just know, don't be frustrated. Remember, guys, the things that you are learning, I am very sure after you are made aware of certain things via Befitment, the opportunity comes for you to practice all the time. And a lot of times you miss it because you didn't realize, wait, that is what happening. Yes, the opportunity always presents itself for you to practice. I even this weekend I was telling someone on the phone that I almost got caught with the ruminating thought again and going down the rabbit hole, creating these scenarios. And I was like, no, 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 no. And in the moment you stop and you remember, read the 12 things from your list. Remember, for the persons who are on during the week, you have a list that you're working on. And also, we're supposed to be reading the list every day. So within that, in that moment, read the 12 list, ruminate on that instead. You understand? So when the opportunity presents itself, what are you doing with it? Are you creating the same scenarios that lead to nothing? Nothing month after month, nothing year after year? Or are you really focused on whatever it is that you want? And in focusing on what you want, remember you're in the space, you're in the energy, and then you're allowing the thoughts to come because you're in the space of focusing on what you want. But if you, every opportunity that you get to practice the wisdom, you're practicing everything from yesterday, then what you're building for yourself. And then you're looking for the construction of the building, but what it built on. It really not built on anything. So sometimes you're looking for it and not even there because what you thought you was building, it cannot even sustain itself. Yes, I am seeing a hand raised. I think it's Anika.
Yes, it's me. I have an example of I have an example of that same thing um going down the rat hole. On
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, I asked my son where his slippers. He said he can't find. And after I done, I went down the rabbit hole. Oh my God, I know buy a slipper for you. What how much money for this? I'll leave it alone. I get up this morning, still bother me. Go down the rat hole again. And then today now, this evening I was like, remember what you say? You say, still your mind and ask a question. And I asked the question to say it in the house. I said, okay. I went in the room. I said, Dane, look up and up on top the cupboard. And when you went up on the cupboard, it up there. We didn't up there, I don't know. But it up there. So you really need to tell your mind and ask a question
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of going down the rabbit hole.
And even within that, while you were looking, you were very clear on what you want, right? You wanted to find the slipper. Yes?
Yes,
Exactly. And guys, that is what it is. Sometimes the frustration wants to take over and the anger wants to take over. But even in the moment, and remember, we were told once in order to cut the momentum, when you're feeling the anger, the frustration, go and sleep. Do you all remember that?
I went through the frustration.
Yes,
I went through the frustration and the anger. I did.
yes.
But only today I asked a question and
Yeah.
still my mind.
Mm-hmm. And that is really, and no, sometimes you think, nah, that is just work for them. That wouldn't work for me. But have you stopped and tried it? Have you really stopped and tried it? Have you asked that question, or are you just approaching things like how you would normally approach it and you're expecting a different result? You know? We are told that everything is there to support us through. And even before you do anything, still let us. Well, for those who log on through any week, even before you approach anything, still let us. But how much of us are actually applying it and practicing it? Because for the ones that not logging on like Anika, she is it working. But for those of us who are, what are you really doing with the wisdom? Are you applying the wisdom? How is the wisdom working for you? Are you able to identify in difficult moment, okay, I have this toolbox, let me use this to get myself to where I would like to be. I am in a frustrated state. I know what to do, what to use while I am in this state. Let me put this into practice. What have you been practicing? This is the 2nd of March. Just remember, it was just the 31st of December. 2 months has already elapsed. What are you constructing for yourself for 2026? Remember, everything requires effort. This is not about magic. You have to put the effort in. But when you work with everything and you put the effort in, the effort is not as much as if you're trying to create your own way. So you really need to stop and ask yourself, what are you really? And there is a Befitment question that was sent out this morning, also asking about what are you doing differently this week? Guys, let 2026 be about application and practice, application and practice, application and practice. You have the tools already, but what are you doing with it? Are you just leaving it in the toolbox and they're getting rusty and you're still frustrated trying to create the same things over and over again? What are you really doing with the tool? Because that is where all your solutions lie. But if you don't practice it, you would stay in the same frustrated space over and over and over again. And how do you think you can anchor yourself in the present moment, even when you are in a frustrated space? What can you do to bring yourself back to the present moment? For you, this is not a general answer. Think about it for you as an individual. What can you do to bring yourself and anchor yourself back to the present moment instead of going down the rabbit hole? Going down the rabbit hole, the results are the same. You get nothing. And I know it probably doesn't affect you because you're accustomed getting nothing. But there is also another space where you can focus and get something instead of always focusing in a space to get nothing. So you could probably think about how you can change that. And it's simple little habitual changes that you have to make. Because all the things that we're talking about, this is not like the hike that we had to do when we went to Cyril Bay. No, no. This is simple day-to-day things that you could implement for yourself as an individual to make things a little different for you. But how? Because even staying in these processes that not working, staying in the processes that not working, is it worth you not achieving what you want to achieve? When you think about it in the long run, is it really worth it? The habits that not working that you are stuck and you're continuing to do, is it really worth your progress in the long run? If it's not really worth your progress in the long run, then what is keeping you back from practicing it every day?
Comfort.
Yes. While I know that is the biggest one, but even within that, if you say you want to achieve certain things by the end of 2026, you only have 9 months remaining. You no longer have 12. No, you have 10. Sorry, you have 10 months remaining. You no longer have 12. And then are you really going to push yourself back to 2029? You will know what will be happening in 2029. You know if your knees will still be working in 2029. You know what your health will be like in 2029 if you don't start today. Think about all the things that you want. And for those who have the list of the 12 things, think about your list. How are you going to achieve your list if you're continuing to stay in comfort? How are you going to achieve the list? There is
How
no
are you, excuse, you didn't answer the question. How you deal with the frustration and not going down the rat hole?
okay. That's okay. So this weekend, that same thing happened to me. I was by the kitchen sink. I think I was going to wash wares or something. And I will tell you two things. One of which sometimes you want things to happen now and it doesn't. And then two, you need to be aware in the moment. Because if you're not aware in the moment, you will continue going down the rabbit hole. Because being aware means that I no longer want to experience the effects of going down the rabbit hole. Because you have a clear intention in mind. And then the second aspect of that is that Befitment did a post once talking about sometimes we want things to happen now and we don't understand the importance of the compounding of time, which means that I might want this now, but let me see if I can achieve this, or let me see if I can work on this over a 3 month period. Because if you pace yourself within a specific time instead of frustrating yourself to do 10 things today, so then by tomorrow your body tired, you're sick, and then everything falls down and you can't even help yourself, you cannot help anybody else. So how are you practicing being present in the moment when you are at the kitchen? You know, it's always when you're doing something monotonous. So you're washing wares, your mind starting to stray. You're driving, your mind starting to stray. You are ironing or whatever, your mind starting to stray. You see a piece of paper on the ground, it reminds you of another scenario. So you start to replay all of that. You restart to retrigger all the energy, all the feelings, everything. Now you have a headache. You still have to finish wash, cook, clean, and iron your clothes for tomorrow. And you didn't pass by the gas station this evening, so you have to go and get gas in the morning, and then it have traffic, and the whole rabbit hole continues. But in that moment, what are you in control of in that moment? The only thing that you are in control of is yourself and your own thoughts. You are not in control of anyone else. And once you remember that in the moment, listen, I am in control of my own thoughts, you can simply think of something else. What do you want? Do you know what you want? Anika, are you there?
Yes?
So you know what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you know what you want, why are you spending time going down the rabbit hole instead of focusing on what you want?
Because I'm emotional and feeling frustrated. So,
Okay,
and at that point in time, that is what my energy is. But sometimes I play music to get out of it.
okay. So then you have another avenue that you could utilize. But what is important is, in the moment, is remembering what you want. Going down the rabbit hole does not produce any favorable results. Who have gotten favorable results from going down the rabbit hole? Please say I. Who have gotten favorable results? Please,
I have a
please
question.
say yes.
You know you're sailing on a boat, right?
Hmm.
And then after the whole place get dark and
Yes.
the waves start to crash and it wetting you and all kind of thing.
Yes.
How in that moment you're supposed to stay calm because you're being affected
Yes, you are being affected. Do you understand why you are being affected?
because of everything going on. I'm not in control of that.
Yes, while you are not in control of it. Do you understand that the challenges of life come so that you can become more resilient? Have you practiced the same peace that you did and stillness to find the slippers when you encounter those situations?
I'll have to get some time to do that, man.
Yes.
That doesn't happen at the point in time. I
It
might have to go through the emotions and
yes,
then after snap outright.
yes. Because sometimes remember the challenges of life come. All right. Again, and let me just read a post for you guys so that you could understand what I am talking about. Sorry. All right. So the change you fear is often the very catalyst that ushers in what you've been asking for. Growth rarely arrives wrapped in comfort. Let me read that again. Growth rarely arrives wrapped in comfort. It shows up as disruption, as uncertainty, as something that stretches you beyond what feels familiar. But on the other side of that stretch is your expansion. The fear is not always a sign to stop. Sorry, the fear is not always a stop sign, but simply a signal that you're stepping into new territory. Keep walking towards it. So, again, just as I said before, you log on to these sessions, you are hearing about certain things, you're learning about different things. When you are made aware of certain things, what does life do? Life presents the opportunity for you to practice. Remember, when you are made aware of certain things, life presents the opportunity for you to practice. Whether you like it, you don't like it, the process will continue. So it's either you adapt to the process, or again, life will continue by, and then what happens? You keep experiencing the same scenario in people, place, and things until you learn whatever is required for you to learn. Because again, remember, your resilience is being built for a reason, whereas you may not be able to see it in the moments. Remember, you are being prepared for something else that you're probably asking for. It could be for a promotion at work. So right now you're experiencing certain things because you need to learn to manage how to handle whenever difficult situations arise. And it is for you to really plant yourself in the present moment. And even within the stillness, just like how you found the slipper, before you proceed, stop and ask a question and then get the solutions that you're really asking for. You know? So even when you're feeling the ups and downs and the waves and the you're seeing the weather turning, and that is for you to practice again. Okay, let me get still in this moment. What is the next step here? Nicola, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Um, I just wanted to share as well on the example that Anika would have raised as well. Usually, in the moment, what I can say what I do, I usually remind myself, Nicola, ride the wave. Nothing is permanent. So even the feeling that you're feeling this moment is not a permanent feeling. And then what is this feeling showing me? So is it showing me that have something deeper that I'm not working on? Or is it showing me that, okay, I need to develop a little bit more patience or whatever the feeling is teaching you? I don't try to not feel the feeling. I would remind myself that this feeling not going to last for forever. Most of the time, if it was too much, I would cry. Then I would go and sleep. By the time I wake up, I'm perfectly fine. But most times you just remind yourself that this thing is temporary and this thing is just guiding you towards something. So what is it guiding you towards? And it helps because usually sometimes what we tend to do, as I was saying too, we tend to spiral down because we're giving into the thoughts and we're giving into the frustration, not realizing that we actually bigger than the situation. The situation is so it's seeing yourself as bigger than the situation. Yes, it may seem overwhelming, but I could handle this situation. So that sense of self-talk and it does work. But just remind yourself, ride the wave. It's just a wave, it's just for a period of time. I just think about it like I'm on Maracas Beach and the wave coming and it going. You ride the wave, you enjoy the wave, whatever the experience is, whatever it is you have to learn, you thank the wave because you at the end of the day you learn something from it. So you would have grown from the wave, you thank the wave, and then keep it moving until the next wave. And just don't give in to a feeling. Don't give in to the feeling then. Feel the feeling, but don't give in to it and give it so much power. Know that it's temporary. So
Mhm.
it to me in my mind it's like it don't make sense you're losing yourself off of this something temporary. So yeah.
Anika, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you understand what was being expressed?
yeah.
Okay. Do you think that in the moment you could put it into practice?
Nah, not at this point in my life.
I just want to
Definitely a little overwhelmed. No others. I can practice this right now, but in the future for sure.
Okay.
When I get out of this state, I will.
I
Okay.
just wanted to add something as well. Sometimes when they say sometimes we just want to cry. And because I pride, no, I too big to cry and I too cry. Because when you cry, it's a form of release and it
Release. It
makes you
is.
way better. So like I remember the last one that I had, I trying to tell myself not to cry. I said, Nicola, cry. Get it out. Cry. If it
Mhm.
means that the tears come when you're done, you could fill a whole tub of water and bathe. That is the amount of tears you had. If it's just a glass that you had or it's 2 teaspoons, that is what you had. But it does work. It does work. It's a form of release. So don't matter how big you are, your age, if you need to cry, you need to cry.
You certainly, certainly, certainly do. And again, just as Anika said, sometimes you may not be able to deal with it. And even in the first instance with the slipper, you started to feel very frustrated. And what you did, you went and sleep. So in going to sleep, you cut the momentum and then you start again. So the next day, while everything is fresh, you ask a question and you got the answer. And it could be the same thing. It could be saying that you're feeling frustrated right now in this moment. And by the morning, you have a different feeling. And in the morning, in the stillness, you ask the question and then you would get the answer to the question. You know? Yes, Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes. I was listening and I was hearing sometimes when Nicola spoke, I heard Nicola say that feel the feeling. And I don't think it's because we're learning all of this and we have the additional wisdom that you're not expected to feel the feeling. And sometimes what may happen is that Nicola said we're too proud, but sometimes it's not pride. It may be the thought that, for example, I know that in some instances in the past, I would feel to scream. And I wouldn't do it because I would tell myself, what I am experiencing is so difficult for me that I believe if I start to scream, I would not stop screaming. And eventually I will land up in sentence. And of course, that didn't make any sense because really, I don't think anybody could scream for that long. But sometimes you have to go through it sometimes, and you will find that, I mean, the post talk about 60 seconds to 90 seconds, but sometimes releasing it is really what needs to be done at that point in time. Because if we get ourselves in this space where, you don't want to say anything because you feel you can't, you usually start with, I don't want to say anything. You see, me, I don't want to say anything. I don't have anything to say. I don't want to say anything. This is upsetting me. I don't want to say anything. But I watch my big sister pull that method and reach in her early grave. And sometimes you need to say something and let it out. Because the question of the emotion at that point in time, that might be what is needed.
Yeah.
People might say, she flipped out and went crazy. Look how she just demolished that kitchen. Sometimes you just have to let it out and not worry about, afterwards when they have to replace the kitchen that you demolished. But sometimes holding in things and holding in things and holding in things, you can actually work in the moment. And if in the moment your heart says scream, scream, that is what is required in the moment. Do not scream for the rest of the day, because after you pass that initial stage is when you will find stillness to say, ah. I remember driving when I was pregnant. I needed something and I was running into a wall. And I remember I started to drive from Point Lisa's. And as I left the company, the tears just started to flow, and I was crying and crying and crying. And I cried all the way up to Nestle. And by the time I reached Nestle, just before Nestle, something just came to me, and I took a deep breath because I was crying so much. I just heaved. And in the heaving was like a song came to me, and I just, as I was coming back out with the breath, that song came. Blow Christian, keep a good faith and blow. That's the name of the song. And I just started to first I humming because I still have to clear the snot in my nose now. And I have to wipe my eyes while I'm still driving. And the thought of not getting what I wanted started to disappear. And the words to the song just brought in a sort of peace. And by the time I got home, 2 minutes through the door, and there was a phone call, and I actually got what I wanted. So sometimes you have to just let the emotion be, knowing that you can't stay there forever. But sometimes that might be what is required in the moment, to just let go and let the situation, let the what is the word I'm looking for? And then you could find that when you take that deep breath, the stillness comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tell yourself that at this point in time you're thinking about having to be still and having to be still, that is another thought that you're trying to battle with. And that the stillness will not come in that thought, because that thought fighting with something else. So I don't think it is that you're expected to just immediately turn like turning a page and it will come. Sometimes you might need to speak out, and that would release. You need to cry out, you cry out. You need to say what is on your mind. You say what is on your mind, and don't worry about going over and over. I tell you flat. The other day I had to say what was on my mind, and now I have clean kitchen all day, all night. There's nowhere anything. Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And even when you're faced with whatever situation, two things to think about in the moment. Am I going to be reactive, or am I going to be intentionally aware? So let me let you know what the difference between the two are. So, reactive awareness, where you are reacting, this is characterized by immediate, habitual, or impulsive responses to external events. It is often defensive, focused on putting out fires or repairing damage after it has occurred. So, this is reactive awareness. So, this is what we are accustomed to. We react whenever situations arise. Or when faced with the situation, are you going to be intentionally aware? And this is deliberate, conscious, and a proactive state, which involves pausing to evaluate situations, considering the long term impact on oneself and others, and choosing actions aligned with personally deeply held values or beliefs. So even when you are facing whatever it is, again, remember the stillness, remember your breath. Am I going to be reactive or am I going to be intentionally aware? Sometimes you just need to step away for a little bit. You might need to gather yourself. And then by then, the whole tension might be a little bit calmer, so you might be able to have a conversation. So that is something to think about whenever you are in the moment. And some of the techniques that you can use to integrate mindfulness into your day is, and let me tell you, once you start to practice these techniques, the things that happen then externally do not affect you as much anymore because you are better able to manage yourself. So, the term all hell could be breaking loose, and you are calm in the moment, unfazed, unbothered, because you are present. And once you are present, you would know what your next step is, so you do not even have to be fazed by anything else that is happening or by Trump sending bombs to Iran. You would be totally unaffected. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The Prime Minister of Trinidad could do what? Not affected. But you have to ask yourself in the moment, where am I? Am I grounded? Am I feeling anxiety? Take a moment and really start to practice breathing. And I know we do breathing sessions before the mindset workshops during the week, but you could also pause throughout your day and do it as well. Or if you find yourself starting to feel anxiety or anger, whatever it is, stop in the moment and practice it. Because once you are in that space, then you would be able to improve your focus and of course your resilience and everything else in the moment. And mindfulness is really the foundation for sustainable growth, because if you're not mindful in the moment, then what opportunities you are aware of? Everything would be passing you by and you would be totally unaware. So I know that we had examples from both Anastasia and Anika, and I would also like to say thank you very much for your openness, and thank you very much too for being willing to let everyone know what you are experiencing, what you are having difficulty with. And I hope that the wisdom you received, you are able to apply it and really get the results that you would like. And remember, even Anastasia, get up, know what you want. Know what you want. So even if you ask the question, what to do, what is the next step in the scenario, and then you hear what the next step is, so you know when to move, and you would also know what to do in the moment, then do it. And for Nika, the same thing. You ask your question, you see it work already in one area, now you could see it work in the other areas of your life that you're currently experiencing whatever difficulty. I know you say that it is difficult to implement right now, but just practice the stillness, and the moment would come when you would know, okay, use this right here, right now. And guys, we all have toolbox. Dust the dust off the toolbox and open it, please. Please.
I have one other question.
Yes.
When Nicola said to cry and to express yourself, not all the time you could express yourself how you want because of the environment. Maybe the environment where it is kids are wrong and thing. So most times I really wouldn't say anything. Because how I want to express myself is not right. It's not proper. So just
Well,
wouldn't say anything.
it may not be best, but what you can do, I've had instances where I and all I was on work and you really wanted to express yourself. I would go to the bathroom. So even if you're home and you're around your kids, you could decide, I go in and take a bath. And even with the bathing, you could freely cry. Nobody would know the difference. I've had instances where I
I
had
don't
to
want to
express
cry.
myself. And that is the thing. What are you willing to do? Do you want results? Do you want the solutions? Or do you want to stay where you are as you are?
I want results, but it's not proper. The avenue I want to take is not proper. So yeah.
Exactly. So
Could I just
Could I just say something? I think the fact
wait,
that you could acknowledge that is not proper is is the first step. You
mhm,
understand? It's not like you're in denial and saying, well, I don't know. You know that the way you're handling it is not the proper way that you know you should handle it. So I feel like that's the first step in acknowledging, and just be patient with yourself. But you also, within that patience, have to start to put things into practice little by little so you could make the change.
mhm,
It's not an overnight change.
mhm,
So you have to give yourself grace. But if you don't make the steps and make the little changes, like Adana said, 2027 going to come and you'll be in the same place you was in 2026, 2025, 2024.
mhm,
So in order to progress, just like at work, you have projects to do, you have this to do, you have that to do to elevate yourself. It's the same thing. You have to invest in yourself. If you want better for yourself, you have to then do better.
mhm,
And you're getting the resources and the information to empower yourself. So nobody's saying, okay, well, you have to do it overnight. But the fact that you're acknowledging that the way you're handling it is not, is not the right way to handle. The question is, do you want to change or you want to stay in the same position? And if you want to change, you have to invest in yourself and make the little steps and start to apply the information, the tools that you're getting. And in doing it and being consistent and applying it, you will get to see gradual changes within yourself. Because I know for me, it's like once you start to get and see the changes, you wouldn't want to go back. You can't go back. You know what I mean? That will become an old way. It's like when you was 2 and you become 10 and you was you still doing that? You understand what I'm saying? So, but in order to progress, you have to apply it. So
yeah,
all you have to do now is not be in denial, not be resilient, be open, and be willing to make this next step.
mhm. Nicole, I think you were about to say something, and then I know Catherine has her hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to add also similar to what Lisa just expressed. And I also wanted to add because sometimes what tends to happen, and I could talk from like my personal experience, sometimes there's a sense of fear. So yes, you want the difference. Yes, you want to do the thing, but at the same time you have that fear. So that's why even before you start to make any sort of step, you have to have that conversation with yourself and have that conversation with your mind because your mind don't know. And how our mind function is our mind function from we need to know all the information, right? So stepping into that space of the unknown could be terrifying or doing something different, right? Because you're not accustomed doing this for all this time. So it's just having that conversation as well with yourself and letting yourself know, or just have the reasoning. If you continue doing this, nothing not going to change, and you don't like this result, so let us just try this, as Lisa was saying. Let us just try this. And you be patient with yourself as well, because it's not an overnight fix. Right here, I like how this feel. Okay, I like how this one went. Let me do more. Let me do more of that, and you just make those small steps, but have a conversation with yourself first and come to that sense of acceptance that okay, we're going and do this, we're going to do it messy, we're going to do it scared, but we're going to do it. And I feel like when you do it and you see the difference naturally within yourself, you just feel proud of yourself. And it's be like, oh look, I get this done after so much years, I get it done, that it is make you want to do more, as Lisa was saying. And then even to go back into expressing yourself. Sometimes it mean as I was saying, going on bed or going in the bathroom in a bathroom stall and work, and you're talking with no voice coming out, but you're cursing everybody that you have to curse. So however you have to express yourself, you're doing it,
That is
just
what I'm talking about.
yeah, so
That's
nobody
exactly what I'm
hear
talking
you.
about.
But sometimes as you go outside, if you're homeless and you tell people you go outside in your backyard, people might say crazy. I even wouldn't say crazy. And you just express yourself and you talk and you get it out, because what we tend to do is keep it inside. And then the only person it bothering is you. Everybody else living the life normal, right? Or as happy as they would choose to live their life. So sometimes it means when you're bathing, your car, well, I don't know, but you're expressing yourself, and however way you choose to express yourself while you're bathing, nobody do want to hear the words coming out. I've had plenty of arguments while I was bathing, and nobody knew I knew I was having an argument. Or if you had to cry, you cry while you're bathing. If you're on work and you had to go in the bathroom stall, and you do the ugly cry, but with no song coming out. You're trying your best for no song not to come out, and you get the ugly cry, and then you wash your face and you go back in the office as normal. You put on some music or whatever the case may be, because the only person is suffering is yourself by saying, "Well, I'm not going to deal with it," or keeping it on the inside. The only person affected is you.
Yeah. Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I wanted to ask, when I hear the words it's not good, it wouldn't be good, it wouldn't be the right thing, it wouldn't be good. I want to cry, but I feel to cry, but I don't want to cry because it wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good for whom? Wouldn't be good for what? And it brought me back to something that I was thinking about today because I was looking over some of the conversation that we had, those of you who join us online, on charisma and connection. It was from that particular thing, and I was reading that today. And one of the lines was that even your relationships are based on your charisma. And I started to think about, and I said, Catherine, when you were much younger, you were bolder, you were you enjoyed life freely, and then somewhere along the line you got yourself boxed into what would look good and what wouldn't be good and what wouldn't look right because of a job that you're doing, and you're doing certain things so it wouldn't look good if they were seen. And I had gotten to the point of not even having a proper balanced wardrobe because it wouldn't look right to be seen wearing this. It wouldn't look right. And before you knew it, you boxed yourself into a little hole of what you think other people expect you to be like. And that cannot be a happy place. That cannot be a healthy place. So when I hear I don't want to cry because it wouldn't be good, sometimes it is good because I remember many years ago I was in a financial place, and a very wise lady said to me, let your son know what your financial weight is every month. He's intelligent. Let him know. Don't carry that. And and as soon as I was able, I didn't speak with him right away. As soon as the opportunity came, and I was able to point out, listen, this is the amount of money I have to make every month to cover everything that needs to be covered. Then you started to see a difference. So sometimes when we focus too much on pleasing other people or how it will look for other people, we are reducing the quality of life that we want to enjoy. And so it has to begin with understanding. For me, it has to begin with getting rid of this right and wrong. And this is one of the pieces of wisdom that I have taken from being associated with Befitment. You see, right and wrong, good and bad, that is going to kill you because you don't want to do this, it wouldn't be good. You don't want to do that, it wouldn't be right. If it's something on your job, write a letter. Write a letter. If you want to cuss the boss, write a letter. Get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. Put it on the paper. Put it on the paper. Do not post that letter. Do not do it in a email. Sit down and write and say what you want to say. Get it out of your system. Then you can nicely take the piece of paper and burn it. Let the essence go back out to the universe because you have expressed yourself in your truth, in a truthful way. It is when we and I looked at myself today and I said, Catherine, when did you become so conservative? I'm a kind of person when I'm in my 20s, even my late teens. I would go to the cinema by myself. I would go to events by myself. Nothing was too far, nothing. And then you started to just curl back. This wouldn't look good. This wouldn't, if you do that, it wouldn't look good. Worst thing to happen. As an image consultant, you have to be mindful of this. And then before long, you are not you. You are not you. You are something that you made yourself into so that other people could you other people don't even care about you. They don't even know you existed. It is all in your head that you make up something because you think that this is how you should be. So I would say you could write things down. Write it down, write a letter, write it all out. Be mindful, do not post that letter. Because what you're writing out is you're writing out your raw emotions and your raw state, and this is how you're feeling. Now, you're just getting it out of your system. Destroy that letter. Burn it. Don't try to burn it. And then start to, you get yourself to the place where, okay, fine. But if you bottle up things about what would not be right for others, and the child will see you crying, hey, uh, if we get back to our childlike state, children don't burden themselves with those things. They don't. And it works for them.
Yes, Dean.
So I would say I would say get rid of the thought of what is not good and what is not right. And if you, no, be true to yourself and match that truth with the techniques that we're learning. Because one of the things we're learning is that there's no right and wrong. Get rid of this good and bad, get rid of this right and wrong from your vocabulary, and you will find the space in the freedom that you will find to express. The thoughts will come, how you can express yourself, what to do. I had a situation where I just wanted to just explode. And I paced up and down this house. I paced from front to back. I paced, and I'm talking to the universe and I'm pacing. And then the thought came, do so and so. And it started to say, but I was burning off the energy by the pacing. You see? So some of the energy and some of the emotion I was going was leaving me from the pacing and from the talking. So I would say, looking at myself, forget about what is good and what is not good. Because when you ask the question, what is not good for whom? Once the answer is it not good for somebody else, that is not your truth. If it is not good for you, then you're working on you. But once it involves it's not good for this one or that one, you're not being truthful to yourself. So that's what I'm working on this week. Being truthful to myself and taking myself back out of the box that I put myself in, what wouldn't look good and what I shouldn't do and you want something and yet you're saying no to what you want. It will never go away.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I found out.
And even within what was expressed tonight, it is also, the opportunity for everyone to practice. Because the same thing others experiencing, we all experiencing it, and some of us we don't want to speak up. So it is also the opportunity for you to also practice these same things once given the opportunity to do so. And before I move forward, because I know there was a lot discussed tonight, so you had a lot of practical examples of how you can practice stillness in the moment when feelings of overwhelm arise, or feelings of anger or anxiety or whatever it is. And this is all different scenarios of stillness and mindfulness. And remember, when the challenge arises, just remember today's discussion. Please, once you are aware of whatever the wisdom is, remember life will send the challenge for you to practice. So when you get the opportunity to practice, do not be reactive, but be intentionally aware and say, okay, this is what it is. All right, I know how to manage this. Let me manage this better. Or even if you might forget and then you remember a little later, you could still practice it then. Right? But do not just allow yourself to revert back to the things that you would practice that are bearing no result. This is a results oriented year. So remember your results. That is what is really important. So that is where your intention and that is where your focus should be. So even if the distractions come, remember this is a results oriented year. So for all the other years that you didn't get any results, this is a results oriented year. So remember that. And before I let you all know what we have on the schedule for this week, are there any more questions? All right.
Yeah, yes, good night. I want to mention three things. Nothing lasts forever. Everything is for a while, and thing changes. I want everybody to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yes. That is true because once you're in the storm, you just think, "Oh my gosh, what is this? This lasting so long?" And then sometimes you look back at it and you say, that wasn't even so bad after all. And because of it, I am more resilient now. Because of it, I can handle things a lot differently now. Because of it, I approach life from a different space now. You know? So yes, that is also something to be mindful of.
Can I ask Gilles if you could just repeat these three, please? Nothing lasts forever.
Can you remember?
Things change.
Thing
Is
change, and
is the one in the middle?
some things are just for a while.
Okay.
Nothing lasts forever. Thing change, and some things are just for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere along those lines.
Yes.
Sometimes the wildness be long.
Yes, it is. But remember, the while serving a purpose.
And it
What
won't last forever.
it won't. And you may not understand what the purpose is right now, but the while is certainly serving a purpose. Nobody
Yep.
said it would be easy. We expect it to be easy. We expect all the roads to be paved. We expect that everything would be smooth and there would be no potholes, but that is not really what life is about because within it, that is where we learn to navigate. That is where we learn about resilience. And because of our resilience, we can also help others with whatever they are experiencing. Anastasia, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I'm telling myself these days that I have to get something out of this while that I am in situations that I do not like. I must come out being a stronger person.
Yeah,
I must experience growth. I just don't want it to pass me by and leave me the same way because I know if it leave me the same way, it coming back at me. So
yeah,
whatever it was sent for, I must accomplish that. The mission must be accomplished.
yes, 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 yes. Because just as you rightfully said, if you do not learn the lesson today, That lesson going and coming back with his friends and cousins. And the lesson, it changes form and it is way more impactful. When it hits, the impact is felt even stronger when you don't learn the lesson the first time. Nicola, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah, sometimes the wireless be long, but then it's about where you place your focus. So are you placing your focus on the end goal, or are you placing your focus on the ride? So if you think about it like you're taking a long drive, yes, it might have potholes on the road, but if you're outside busy enjoying the view and enjoying this, you're not really taking on the potholes or how long the ride taking or whatever, because you're in the moment. So you're looking at, oh, look at that tree, look at that bird, and then soon enough you're like, oh, I reach already. So sometimes your attention might come back to where boy this drive taking long, but then put your focus back on the outcome, right? And even in the things as you're going through, I feel like the more you practice, that will be our gratitude. But the more you practice being grateful and, oh, well, thanks for this experience. Because of this experience, I learned this. So even if it's your boss, good thing that boss gone. So today, no. Because of that, look, I learned something about myself. It tends to make the ride easier and shorter because you're not focusing on all the negative, well, what you perceive as negative happening.
Yeah, because we always tend to perceive it as negative.
Negative, yeah.
And only after experiencing it and you look back, you say, you know, this served a purpose. And it's a good thing I went through this. It really served a purpose. But in the moment, it is not something that you really think about. But then you recognize that, okay, yes, it really was meant to be as it is meant to be. And a lot of times, the change that we are looking for is on the other end of discomfort, the other end of uncertainty. That is where the change we are looking for lies. And in order to access it, we have to go through the experience. Trying to run from the experience, you're just going to run into the same experience in a different form. You think you're running from it, but you're really running towards it in a different form. So, do we have any questions before I let you all know what we have coming up this week? All right. So, let me just share my screen. All right. So tonight we discussed in the presence of mindfulness. And then from tomorrow we have counseling and consultation from 10. From 6, we would be looking at understanding clarity from relaxation. Relaxation matters for clear thoughts and achievement. So Enika, the stillness that you experienced the next day when you got up, I guess this topic would also be delving into that. Then from 7 p.m.
Oh, the next day when this morning I get up, I didn't, I wasn't still enough. I
Talking
get up
about
with a headache.
the morning that you got up and you asked the question about finding the slipper and you found it.
No, that is this evening. I asked the question
Okay,
after I was there at work. Yeah, this morning I get up, I was feeling stressed and I had a headache.
okay. Well,
It's
it was
just that when I reach home, I decide to still myself.
yeah, you really, really have to practice it. But I don't know if you might be available. You could probably log in. If you are interested, you can message us um as part of the 7 day pass, and you could log in for 7 days to be part of the sessions. If you are available, you could message us after. So from tomorrow from 7 p.m., of course, we have our fuel and flex full body workout sessions. Then on Wednesday from 10, we have counseling and consultations again. And from 6, we would be discussing integration and consistent achievement, creating a personal plan for clarity and goal achievement. So, guys, we are getting more tools again to move us forward. On Thursday, the 5th of March, from 10, we would have counseling and consultations. And from 6, we would be looking at relaxation techniques for performance. So we would be given tools to reduce tension and harness goal discipline. Then from 7, we have our fuel and flexible body workout where we sweat, smile, and thrive through our group fitness sessions. From on Friday, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3, we have free to be, where we celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. Then on Saturday, we have counseling and consultations from 10. And then from 3, we are closed. For anyone who would like any counseling or consultation session, you think that you might need additional support, feel free to reach out to us and we would be happy to schedule an appointment for you. On the 28th of March, we would be having our stress-free outdoor workshop. It would be a calming day of discussion, nature, and refreshing pools designed to help you manage stress and find balance. It is on the 28th of March at the Arboretum Shagaramas from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The cost is $150, and for B members, the cost is $135. There are very limited spaces available, so if you know that you are interested, please register now, and you could WhatsApp us at 336-868-336-1809 with the word stress free, so that you can be registered and included. And on the 14th of March, we are going to Taka Bali Shagaramas, where we would be having a fun rise and ride. The bike rental, of course, is $200. The meeting point is Macri Beach Car Park. The time is from 7 to 9:30 a.m. Again, if you are interested, you could WhatsApp fun to 336-1809 to register. Then we have on the 3rd of March to the 2nd of April for all the kids who are in Form 4 and Form 5. And you know, sometimes you have a lot of anxiety with exams. So we have the confidence countdown, which they would be learning skills for exams and, of course, confidence for life. So the kids would be building their mindset, boosting their skills and confidence needed to handle exams and life beyond the classroom. So the topics include mastering your mind and time, from classroom to career, and then shine on paper and in person. It is from 3 days, from March 31st to April 2nd. The time is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at, of course, the Balance Center, Caroni Savannah Road. The cost is $300. So to secure the spot for your child, or even if you know any children who might be interested, feel free to send them the flyer. So they could WhatsApp exam to 336-1809 to register. Of course, limited spaces available again. And this is designed specifically for Form 4 and 5 students who are about to enter, the exam, the CXC phase. So if you know anyone who might be interested, feel free to let them know. Also, we have our Fuel and Flex full body workout sessions Tuesdays and Thursdays, 150 a month, and it comes with membership. So for those who are interested, then we have water aerobics every fourth or fifth Thursday based on how much weeks there are in the month. So you could also feel free to be a part of this. And we have coming up Pilates. So if you would like to register or you would like more information about it, and you could get 10% off your first month, you could WhatsApp 336-1809 for more information. And then, of course, we still have the 10% off your order at Green Bowl TT, the M6 branch only. So if you have not checked out Green Bowl as yet, feel free to check them out. So I would like to say, oh yes, Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I was going to say that for the Countdown to Confidence workshop,
Mm-hmm.
you may not have a person in that age group, but you may want to sponsor a child, a young person into the workshop. So that is also available to you. Your neighbor, a niece, a nephew, someone, a young deserving man, a young lady, because this particular workshop, not only the examination part, but where it talks about classroom to career or giving them work preparation skills. So it is a really comprehensive workshop. So if you would like to sponsor one or two young persons, you see how I'm focusing on what I wanted, the numbers going up. If you'd like to sponsor someone into the program, if you do not have someone, that is also something that you can do as well.
Yes, 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 yes. So, guys, with Befitment, you have a lot of different activities, a lot of different avenues, of course, to release your stress. So, you could pick one and we would see you there. If we are not yet in a country near you, we will be there soon. Do not worry. And please have a mindful week. When you see the opportunities, the practice, do not run from them. Do not get angry. Do not get frustrated. Do not feel anxiety. You are already equipped with the tools necessary to move you forward. Remember what they are, put them into practice, and apply them into your daily life. Thank you all for logging on tonight. See some of you during the week. See the rest of you next week, Monday. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.